Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1, engage. Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1, engage. Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1, engage. Fuel scooping. Fuel scoop disengaged. Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1, engage. Fuel scooping. Fuel scooping complete. Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1, engage. Frameshift drive charging. System scan complete. Fuel scooping. Frameshift drive charging. Four, three, two, one, engage. Frameshift drive charging. Four, three, two, one, engage. Fuel scooping. Fuel scoop disengaged. Frameshift drive charging. Four, three, two, one, engage. Fuel scooping. Fuel scoop disengaged. Frameshift drive charging. Four, three, two, one, engage. drive charging. Four, three, two, one, engage. System scan complete. Fuel scoping. Fuel scoop disengaged. Frameshift drive charging. Four, three, two, one, engage.
Empire accused of power grab in Federation's heart. Imperial agents have been charged with attempting to seize political influence deep in Federal territory following the Battle of Sol. With the aftermath of the Thargoid invasion still causing upheaval across populated space, there has been a marked effort by many factions to establish themselves in systems impacted by Titan Kosiho's assault in December. Sophia Trevino wrote a summary for the Federal Times. In recent weeks there has been turmoil in Sol, as political, corporate and military interests come to terms with the impact of Titan Kosiho's arrival, not to mention the civilian cost, with billions of refugees still displaced in surrounding systems. But an unexpected element has emerged, with ports and outposts reporting a significant increase in positive Imperial sentiment. This has been tied to Princess Aisling Duval in particular, currently enjoying a good reputation among non-imperial populations due to her work as a delegate to Aegis and a champion of humanitarian causes for those impacted by the Xeno War. Shadow President Jerome Archer has stamped down on this flourishing popularity and was described as outraged by the notion of imperial influence in the heart of the Federation. Republican media outlets, counteragents, and even the Proactive Detection Bureau were deployed to quell the initial unrest. Princess Aisling has denied any involvement in the growth of imperial support, but did imply that federal populations should not be spurned for the consideration of new ideas. It has been noted that a core of Aisling's supporters remain active in Barnard Star, which no doubt concerns the federal government.
South Kruger, Charlie Bravo Zulu. This is an independent star system, Commander. Request docking permission prior to touching down. Request approved. Adjust heading for approach to pad 1-2.